music ain't never supposed to be filthy. Music is supposed to be beautiful and pretty and nice, and everybody can relate to it. They would say sexual things in there, but it had two meanings. It was up to you to make up in your mind what the guy was talking about. You know, a guy would sing a song, let me play with your poodle. Let me play with your poodle, your little poodle dog. But you know he was not talking about a poodle.
Another veteran of the Chitlin circuit would break through with a song that left little to the imagination.
Hey, Big Joe Turner, come on in.
Once a singing bartender in Kansas City, Big Joe Turner never quite left the world of the barroom behind. In Shake, Rattle and Roll, his biggest hit, lyrics referring to sex were only thinly disguised.
Well, over the hill, way down underneath. Well, over the hill, way down underneath. You make me roll my eyes, baby, you make me grit my teeth. I let shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll.
Joe Turner was singing songs with lines like, when you wear those dresses and the sun comes shining through, I can't believe my eyes, all that mess belongs to you.
Like a one-eyed cat peeping in a seafood store. I'm like a one-eyed cat peeping in a seafood store. I can look at you, baby, there you ain't no child no more.
Joe had a beautiful baritone rolling out like an opera singer. It was coming from his belly.
Big Joe Turner, what a voice. He would hit that top note and he would run 30 minutes. So long there was a tune there and they were swinging. Let it roll, let it roll, let it roll all night long.
Shake, Rattle, and Roll is just one of the great songs of all time. Big Joe Turner really brings home the relationship between jazz and blues and the new sound of R&B.
When a Cadillac cruised up and swished, she was gone.
More and more rhythm and blues artists were being snapped up by the record companies. One of them was Ray Charles. It Should Have Been Me, with its laid-back vocal style and sexual swagger, was the fruit of his apprenticeship on the road working with singers like Ruth Brown and Joe Turner.
A little later on.
Ray loved Joe Turner, and Ray loved Ruth Brown. These are the people he was riding in cars with. These are the people he was sharing rooming houses with. You know, their record would come out and would do better than his, because a lot of his first records died, didn't do well at all. Ruth Brown was constantly beating Ray Charles all the time. So, well, now, what could he do to his records to beat Ruth Brown? It was a very competitive world in the best possible way.
But Atlantic knew what they were doing when they signed Ray Charles.
A booking agent who booked our rhythm and blues artists said, "Oh my gosh," said, "you rave about this Ray Charles." Says, we can't book him as a headliner because his records don't sell enough. So we bought his contract. I would have paid anything to get him.
It should have been me.
Ray Charles may have got a deal with Atlantic Records, but a career in music still meant endless touring and one-night stands all across America. There were compensations, though. Rhythm and blues was feel-good music in which both performer and audience would forget their inhibitions and lose themselves in the rhythm.
They're making money, going from town to town. They were stars, and that sexual shenanigans were pretty intense. My impression is they all had a very good time.
The musicians who provided the beat were becoming sex symbols, and Ray Charles was no exception.
All artists, when they would travel across country, they would have the women shouting and screaming for them. And it was a popular, fashionable thing. It was something that was happening, and he had his share.
He was the sexiest blind man that you would ever want to see.
Despite his blindness, Ray had a foolproof method of selecting the most attractive women.
He used to always grab them, like you introduce him to them. He would grab them by their hand, and he would go up their hand to their wrist, right up above their wrist, and he would feel their wrist. I don't know what he was feeling for in there. He didn't have to do that to me because I was fat. I was looking, I said, wonder what it was he was feeling. But he would go like that. I took a girl over there, was a beautician, and she was really fine. And he said, hey, baby, how you doing? Hey, what's your name? You know, and I said, there you go again with that arm.
Baby, if you don't want me, why don't you let me go?
Although rhythm and blues was primarily aimed at the black audience, young white music lovers were beginning to discover the new sound too.
Baby,
As word spread through white America of the excitement of the rhythm and blues circuit, the authorities found segregation more difficult to enforce.
They didn't know what to do with the music. But the whites knew that they liked it. They thought it caused commotion between blacks and whites because, see, the heart of that music, see, it doesn't have color. Doesn't have any racial barrier.
Some states took a different view and employed every possible measure to keep the races apart.
They had a rope between the races, a rope, something like a clothesline. And there would be a card that said colored, white on each side. And as long as that rope was okay, you could dance. And sometimes the whites would just move the rope and come on over. You know, they would come in where the fun was. And the police would come out and stop the dance and say, oh no, this is out, we'll not do this. You cannot dance together. You know, a couple of times I went to jail behind that because I wouldn't stop singing.